Sometimes someone from the past comes to mind when you least expect it. You hear an old song, pass a familiar place, or see a forgotten photograph, and suddenly you're back there for a moment, remembering conversations, shared places, and how life felt when that person was part of it. And you think, I miss them. But after sitting with that feeling, you may start to wonder if that is really the whole story. Maybe it isn't only them you miss. Maybe you miss the life you had when they were in it. People from our past are rarely just individuals in isolation. They are tied to entire periods of our lives, where we lived, who we were close to, what we were doing, and what we thought the future might look like. When you remember them, you often remember everything about them too. We remember how ordinary days felt back then. Sometimes we even miss the version of ourselves from that time. The way we saw the world, the energy we had, or the freedom we didn't fully appreciate while we had it. Because of that, it can be hard to separate the person from the period of life they belong to. But if they suddenly come back into your life today, would you really want things to be the same? Would you still understand each other? Would the connection still fit who you are now? Or would you realize that what you miss is not just a person, but a time that had already passed? There is a difference between missing someone and missing what they represent. Think of an old friend. You might remember how easy everything felt. Fewer responsibilities, more free time, and no need to plan weeks ahead just to meet. You could call each other and make plans without overthinking it. Years later, you may miss that friend, but what you're really missing might be how simple life felt then. The friend is part of the memory, but not the whole of it. The same is true for past relationships. When a relationship ends, memory tends to soften the edges. We remember the closeness, the laughter, the shared routines, and the comfort of having someone there. Over time, the difficult parts can fade into the background. You might remember feeling understood while forgetting how often you felt unseen. That doesn't erase the good memories. They were real and they matter. But good memories alone don't necessarily mean the relationship would work now. Often, what we're missing isn't the person as they were, but the way life felt during that time. Maybe you were younger, with more time ahead of you. Maybe you were starting something new, living somewhere different, or still figuring out who you were becoming. The future felt open, and everything seemed possible. That person became part of that chapter, so it makes sense that they appear when you think about it. And sometimes what we're really missing is not them at all, but the version of ourselves that existed then. An old photograph can make that clear. You don't just see the people beside you. You see yourself and the feeling of that time. Maybe you miss your confidence, maybe you miss your energy, your optimism, or the excitement of not knowing what was coming next. At the time, you may have been focused on change, on building a career, moving forward, or creating stability. Only later do you realize that some of the things you barely noticed were what made that period feel alive. That's one of the facts of getting older. We often only understand the value of a time in our lives after it has passed. But that doesn't mean you made the wrong choices. It doesn't mean you should have stayed in a relationship that no longer worked, or held onto a life you had already outgrown. Some parts of the past are meaningful precisely because they are not meant to be returned to. You can be grateful someone was part of your life and still accept that the relationship belongs to the past. You can miss someone without wanting them back. You can look back warmly without wanting to relive it. These feelings can exist at the same time. That's why memories of certain people can feel complicated. They are rarely about one thing. They can hold affection, sadness, gratitude, regret, and even relief all at once. You may miss what was good while still understanding why it ended. You may want to speak to someone again, not to restart anything, but simply to revisit a part of your life for a moment. And maybe that's what happens when people from long ago return to our thoughts. We are not always searching for them. Often we are searching for a feeling. We may miss familiarity, ease, or a time when life felt less heavy. The person is just the doorway. The feeling behind them is much larger. Once you see that, the memory changes. Instead of asking, why do I keep thinking about them? You might ask, What does this remind me of? What was my life like then? What am I actually missing? The answer won't always be the same. Sometimes it's connection, sometimes it's joy, sometimes it's simply a reminder that you've been feeling tired or disconnected, and your mind is searching for a time that felt warmer. And sometimes that tells you something about what you need now. Not that you should go back, but that something in your present life might be missing. Maybe it's laughter, maybe it's closeness, maybe it's time for yourself without pressure or guilt. We can't return to the exact lives we had, but we can often bring parts of them forward by reconnecting with people, making space for joy, or allowing ourselves to do things simply because they feel good. The past doesn't have to be somewhere we want to live again. Sometimes it just shows us what still matters. There are people we will always remember because they were part of important chapters in our lives. Their names stay linked to places, songs, and moments that still feel close, even years later. That doesn't mean we are meant to find them again. It doesn't mean we are meant to go back. Sometimes a memory doesn't need action. It just needs understanding. So the next time someone from long ago comes to mind, you don't have to rush to define what you feel. Instead, take a moment to look at the whole picture, the person, the time, the version of you that existed then. You may find that you do miss them, but you may also find that what you really miss is the life around them, the years that have passed, or the person you were at that time. And that understanding doesn't take anything away from the memory. It simply makes it clearer. Because sometimes the people we remember are not invitations to return. They are reminders of where we've been, what shaped us, and what we still carry forward. Thanks for being here. And if this brought someone or a time in your life to mind, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.